Om Jnana-timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur-militanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're continuing with our Sharanagati reading discussion. So Dana, you also go to a shloka memorization class. I'm curious, what shloka are you learning now?
Well, it actually just ended like about a month or a month and a half ago. We were actually doing this time around the Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, and like doing all the verses in there. So it was really, really good. But before that we did chapter 15 and chapter 7 of the Gita.
Okay. Very nice.
Doesn't mean I have all those memorized, but that's what we worked on. It was challenging, but
it's very nice just to become more familiar. You know, not everyone has an inclination. Not just an inclination. Not everyone has that type of brain, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't have a devoted heart. But in any case, it is nice to be familiar with the verses, you know, whether or not you memorize them.
Well, it's really interesting is the way he did it. Like he's like, I'm not going to pick, because I've been in another class where they just picked like the 108 most popular Gita verses and it like jumps around. And he was like, he liked to do it chapter by chapter because then it just like flows and it can be just like a song, like when you just sing it all together. And it's pretty neat.
Right. I've been thinking for a while to have some type of shloka class. I'm not necessarily focused on memorizing, but just becoming familiar with some of the important shlokas in our, you know, which our gurus have emphasized. And so it's nice to be reminded of that. It's yeah, I feel like it will be, I do feel sometimes that it's a bit of a shame that many of our devotees aren't more familiar, you know, with these shlokas. So they were important to our gurus, and they're highlighting important teachings, you know, of our Siddhanta. So yeah, it's good to be reminded of that. I can think about that again. Okay, well we'll go back to our Sharanagati. So where are we, Suvasini? Did we finish the
second one, I think.
Okay, so we're beginning the third song now. Yeah,
if I remember right. Yeah, that's we finished. Yeah, it's finished with that one.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's the third one now. Yeah.
Oh, so this is the beginning. Okay. Maybe we can actually hear this song. This is a song that we don't really sing. I'm not familiar with it at all. So let me. Okay, well, should we just read through it? Because you've just set it up. So maybe we'll read through it first. Okay. Then do you want to lead us in the reading, Suvasini Didi?
Okay, sure. Vidyara vilase Khatayinu kala parama sakase ami tomara charana na bhajinu kabu ekana sharana tumi. Okay. Okay. Padite barasa badila gyane gati habe mani se asha bipala se jnana durbhala se jnana ajnana jani. So sorry, I had to read the translation for the first two verses. I spent my time absorbed in the pleasures of learning with great confidence. I never served your feet. Now you are my shelter. Studying continuously, my confidence that I would attain the fulfillment of life through knowledge increased. Yet that hope was futile and that knowledge was useless. I now know such knowledge to be ignorance. So there is some commentary here for the second verse by Srila Guru Maharaj. So it's Śaraṇāgati. I would attain the fulfillment of life through knowledge. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita 4:33, Krishna says, Sarvam karmakilam partha jnane parisamapyate. O Arjuna, all actions culminate in knowledge. So the other phrase, say jnana durbala, that knowledge was useless. Knowledge alone is unable to fulfill one's spiritual desires. This is explained by Sriman Mahaprabhu to Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:17-18. Krishna Bhakti Haye Abhideya Pradhana Bhakti Mukha Nirikshaka Karma Yoga Jnana Esaba Sadhanera Ati Tuchya Bhala Krishna Bhakti Vina Taha Dite Nare Phala. Krishna Bhakti is the fundamental means of spiritual progress. Because the soul is by nature an eternal servant of Krishna. Karma, pious action, yoga, self-regulation, and jnana, knowledge, are all dependent on bhakti. They have no actual power of their own. Without Krishna bhakti, they are all unable to deliver results. Say jnana ajnana. This is another phrase in that verse. That knowledge is ignorance. All knowledge of the mundane world is really illusory knowledge. In other words, ignorance. This is described in Katha Upanishad 1.2.5. Havidyayam antere vartamanaha swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha dam dramyamanaha pariyanti mudha ande naiva niyamana etandaha. Insincere fools who remain in ignorance yet consider themselves sober, free from illusion, and wise, learned authorities are deluded just like blind persons being led by other blind persons. So that is the second verse. So we have to go back. Shaka, do you want to talk and something on that? Sorry, you're muted, I think. Okay, I'll continue with the third verse. Jada vidyayata mayara vaibhava tomara bhajane badha moha janamiya anitya samsare jivake karaye gadha. All mundane learning is an exhibition of Maya and an obstacle to your service. It brings about infatuation for the temporary world and makes an ass of the soul. So that's the third verse.
You know, that line, there's a famous incident, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and this tells you like what type of influence Saraswati Thakur had. You know, he gave a talk once at a university in Dhaka, which is now part of Bangladesh. Right?
Yeah.
Previously it was East Bengal. He gave a talk at a university speaking to all these students and professors, and he quoted this line, you know, telling them that, you know, all mundane knowledge makes an ass of the jiva, you know, but they all accepted it, you know, they all took, he's speaking at a place of learning, you know, but they all took it because Saraswati Thakur had that type of influence. Very funny. Jada vidya jata mayara vaibhav tomara bhajane. Gada here, jiva ke karo ye gada, right? All mundane learning is an exhibition of Maya and an obstacle to your service. That's all I have to say. We can go on.
Okay. Se ghadha hai samsarer bojha bahino aneka kala vardakhe ekana shaktira abhave kichu nahi laghe bhala. I became such an ass and bore the burden of my household for so long. Now, aged and devoid of strength, nothing brings me any pleasure. You wonder whether there is any, okay, there is some commentary on that verse before that. Jada Vidya. Jada Vidya Jiva ke karaye ghada. Mundane learning makes an ass of the soul. This refers to apara vidya, inferior knowledge, that is, knowledge which construes material objects as meant for one's selfish enjoyment. In this regard, shortly after returning from Gaya, Nimai Pandit advised his students as follows. This is in Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Lila 1.158-9. शास्त्रेर ना जाने मर्म अध्यापना करे घरदबेर प्राय एन शास्त्र बही मरे पढ़िना सुनीना लोक गेल चारे खारे कृष्ण महा महोत्सवे वंचिला ताहारे. Those who do not know the purport of the scriptures yet teach them to others are like asses. They bear the load of the scriptures in vain. Reading and hearing the scriptures leads only to death and distraction for both these teachers and their audiences. They are all deprived of the joy of the grand festival of love for Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13, Krishna himself explains, Yashyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke swadhi kalatradishu bhauma ijadhi yat tirtha buddhi salile na karhiche janeshvabhigneshu sa eva gokaraha. One who considers his decaying material body made of mucus, bile, and air to be his actual self, but does not realize himself to be a servant of the Lord, who considers his spouse, family, and associated paraphernalia to be his possessions, but feels no affectionate attachment for the Lord's devotees, who considers a graven image made of earth or other material elements to be the Lord, but has no reverence for the Lord's devotees, and who considers a body of water to be a place of pilgrimage, but fails to understand that the Lord's devotees are the ultimate place of pilgrimage. Such a person is an ass among cows, a foolish beast fit only to bear the burden of carrying food for other animals. Krishna explains the components of his inferior energy, apara prakriti, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita 7.4-5. Bhumir apo analo vayu kam manor buddhire vaja ahankara iti yamme binna prakritir ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intelligence, and false ego are the 8 divisions of my inferior material energy. I think that the other verse is like, it's not, it just, this apareyam mitastvani, I think it's not there, it just,
It's part of the next verse in the next line. It's taken from there.
Yeah, that's the verse is not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the first word is there because they cover 7.4 to 5. I don't think the verse is there. Yeah. I think the last verse. Thomara charana vina kichu dhana samsare na ache ara Bhaktivinod jada vidya chadi tuya pada kare sara. Oh Lord, there is nothing of value in this material world other than your feet. Bhaktivinod abandons all mundane learning and accepts your feet as his be all and end all. Right. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, pretty heavy, huh? Another cautionary tale. Don't waste your time in dry cultivation of dry knowledge. Intellectualism. Okay, well, I mean, I don't really have any commentary on this verse. Just, taking mental notes. So I don't know if you want to share anything, Savasini, if anyone else in the group.
I don't have anything to say. It seems like it's a continuation from the last verse, isn't it? It's like
right.
It's like the how you forget the Lord by from your childhood, and this is again another aspect, like you by all this mundane knowledge, inferior knowledge, you become absorbed in it, and then
right.
Which is of not much value.
Right.
I was following along from a different translation of Sharanagati, and just the third read, it had a slightly different end. Yeah, it says indulgence in knowledge of the eternal by engaging his infatuation temporary world. And I appreciated that. I was like, like encouraging our infatuation, so it's not that like the knowledge itself, we get knowledge as tools, it's not that we should be so disconnected with the world that we can't even share Krishna consciousness with. If meaning of create situation, and it's like taste should be with Krishna.
Unfortunately, your connection's not very strong, Leela.
So that's like what do we? Am I cutting out? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm not really catching you, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm also receiving phone call at the same time, which maybe is affecting.
Well, I think along those same lines that goes back to the earlier commentary where it said, what we're referring to when we talk about the material knowledge is knowledge that we see as a path to enjoyment or a means to enjoyment rather than as a means to service. So it's not the knowledge itself that's the problem. It's our intention in approaching it and
right.
how wrapped up we are and how we are hoping to use it. Right.
That's a very good point, Anna Marie, and you've reminded me of one occasion. It was Janardhan Maharaj, actually, one of our sannyasis. He asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you say Jnana Shunya Bhakti is the highest thing. Jnana Shunya Bhakti means knowledge-free devotion. This is the highest type of devotion. Meaning the highest level, that means devotion which is offered to the Lord without any awareness of his divinity. It's just a natural, spontaneous approach of the heart. And then it also refers to, approaching without, desire for dry intellectualism or the desire for liberation and all these things. So Janardhan Maharaj asked Srila Maharaj, you say Jnana Shunya Bhakti is the highest thing, knowledge-free devotion is the highest, but you yourself are so knowledgeable. So how are we to understand this? And Srila Maharaj, she said that Bhakti is the king and knowledge is the minister. Knowledge is one of the ministers. So he said, as long as things are aligned in that way, then everything is perfect, right? That knowledge is serving devotion. That's the idea, that knowledge is not an end in itself, but it is serving bhakti. So this is a very nice point that Marie's brought up, very important point. Because we also don't neglect, that can be a mistake too, to just neglect knowledge. And there's one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which is often quoted in this regard, Siddhanta Bolya Chittena Kuro Ilash, saying don't be lazy to study the Siddhanta. Because the teachings, the conclusions, the conception, because doing so will make your heart more fixed in devotion to Krishna, right? So having having a mind, intellect that is grounded in the theology, right, and having a clear understanding of the teachings, that will support our faith, that will support our culture of devotion. So as long as everything is aligned in that way, in this relationship, knowledge serving devotion, then it is perfect. That is as it should be. Any other comments from our group, or should we move on? Giri, welcome everyone who's joined. I see Giri Tari's joined us. Abhishek Prabhu joined us again. Welcome. Kirtita's here. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one then.
Right. Is someone reading it, or sorry, I was muted.
Please continue, Didi. Please continue.
Okay. Yavane yakana dhana upajane hayino vipulakami dharma smariya grihinira kara dharinu takana ami. When I was young, I became I became greatly desirous of earning money. Remembering my religious duty, I took the hand of a wife. So there is a short phrase. Dharma smarya, remembering my religious duty. This refers to the injunction, Sas striko dharmam acharet. One should practice religion with a wife. This is okay. Samsare Pataye tahara sahita kala chaya kainugata bahu sutta sutta janama labhila marame hayino hata. So, second verse. I established a household with her and wasted so much time. We had many sons and daughters, and I became distressed at heart. Samsarer bhade dine dine achalaha ila gati vadakya asiya gerila amare astiraha ilamati. The burden of my household increased day by day, and my progress towards attaining the goal of life came to a standstill. As old age came and besieged me, my mind became disturbed. Śaraṇāgati. My progress towards attaining the goal of life came to a standstill. This is explained by Sri Prabhupada to Maharaj Nimi in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.18. Karmanyaram bhamananam dukkha hatyati sukhaya cha pashet paka viparyasam mituni charinam nrinam. One must see that those humans who unite in conjugal relationships and make endeavors to eliminate the distress and attain happiness through sexual relations, producing offspring, accumulating wealth, maintaining a household, and so forth, incur the exact opposite result. Vardhakya asya astiraha ilamati. As old age came, my mind became disturbed. Seeing everyone suffering in illusion, as he wandered throughout ancient India, Sankaracharya would lament. Balastavat krida shaktaha tarunastavat taruni raktaha vridastavat chinta magna pare brahmani kopi na lagna. Mohamuddra Stotram 7. Boys are attached to play, youths are attached to young women. The elderly are absorbed in worries. Alas, no one is conscious of the Supreme Absolute Parabrahma. We'll go back. Hidaya astira chintaya jvarita abhave jvalita chita upayana dheki andakaramaya ekana hayechi pita. Restless with disease and feverish with anxiety, my heart burns with unfulfilled desire. I see no way out of this darkness and have now become fearful. Sorry. It's gone a little farther. Samsara tatinis shrota nahe sesha marana nikate ghora sabha samapiya vajiba tomaya e asha vipalamora. There is no end to the torrent of the river of household life, and fearsome death always looms nearby. After finishing all of this, I will serve you. This hope of mine has proven vain. Ebe suna prabhu ami gati hina Bhaktivinod kaya tava kripa vina sakali nirasha deha more padashraya. Now please listen, O Lord, I'm utterly helpless. Bhaktivinod prays, without your mercy, everything is hopeless. Please give me the shelter of your feet. I think that's it, yeah.
I'll just make one comment. This is Shankaracharya, right? This quote here. Boys are attached.
Yeah, Shankaracharya, yeah.
Yeah, and there's another one. It's also from that same composition, the Moha Mudgara Stotram, which we may have been talking about it not too long ago, which our Gurudev liked very much. He had it printed out and on his wall, talking about how this, like, time is passing, the seasons are changing, but human desire never leaves us. These are quite heavy, huh? This is all quite heavy. No sugarcoating here. Quite heavy. And I mean, like this, I mean, just the name of this poem, Moha Mudgata Sto, means a hammer to illusion. That's what these songs are, right? Like a hammer to all the sugarcoating of the temporary pleasures of mundane life. You know, it's all being uncovered, it's all being exposed. Don't waste your time. This is how it's going to end. You know? So it may seem a little pessimistic, but it's actually optimistic in the sense that it's calling us to give all our energy, all our time for our spiritual purpose. And this is also, I appreciate this context on that composition of Shankar, seeing everyone, like how he's like how he came to write this, seeing everyone suffering and illusion as he wandered throughout ancient India. Shankaracharya would lament. So like see, that's another thing, right? And because we may even say, well, I don't think these things are suffering. But because we're living within illusion, right? We're living within the ignorance of illusion. But for the enlightened souls, for the awakened souls who are awake on the other side, right? They're seeing that this is what we may consider to be joy. It is actually suffering for the enlightened soul, because it is all pleasure on the dark side. It is joy on the dark side. There's that famous Gita verse, right? Yani Sha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Samyami, right there. What is night to the awakened soul is day for the embodied soul, and vice versa. You know, we may not actually realize that we're suffering, right? And it's kind of a curious thing, right? As our consciousness evolve, things that previously were pleasurable to us, they will begin to feel very repugnant. We'll be repulsed by them, right? As our taste changes, right? We become attracted to, we begin to appreciate purity, right? And brightness. Then our taste will change, our sensibilities will change. Does anyone else have any comments to share here?
Just wanted to say, go ahead, yeah.
Well, this may be vaguely tangential, but I was like hearing that observation that those who like go through the whole family life trying to be happy and accumulate wealth through maintaining a household and stuff end up with the exact opposite result. But then I was also thinking, well, that comes directly after, well, I got married because I was told it was my religious duty. And like for me, that runs parallel to a lot of what I've seen happening in contemporary Christianity, where there are people who actually think Christianity is like based on the family unit. And I'm like, have you read Paul? Like he literally says, if you can avoid getting married, don't. And that it's kind of interesting because that's also the same advice that I've often heard was given to clergy when they started exploring their call, was if you can do anything else, don't do this, because you can't, this is hard, you can't do this unless it's really your calling, and you'll know it's your calling because you won't be able to do other things if you're not doing, I'm not sure where I'm going with that. My brain was just connecting those and I guess idly wondering about the tendency to pressure young people into family life when family life is hard. And, you know, like to pretend that the joy of parenthood is going to be completely unalloyed by the stress of parenthood and the fact that you don't get a break and that it's like a lifelong commitment, instead of like helping them discern whether that really is what they're called to do. Anyway, that's, like I said, somewhat tangential.
It's really nice to hear that broader perspective on things, because yeah, that is that you do hear that type of rhetoric generally, you know, from Christian groups, right? Like it's like, and also in Hinduism too, it's like family is like almost, it's like a sacred thing, and that's almost like synonymous, like it's like family life is part of the religion, right? So it's interesting to just get some broader perspective on that, you know, different statements, you know, within the Christian faith. Scarlett has her, because yeah, it's one of those things someone might sign up for and just doesn't know what they've gotten into. Scarlett has her hand raised.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I'm so sorry that I can't have my camera on. My computer is not so good. Isn't it, after all, something that we are programmed to go through in this time around? Is it really under our control? Yes, sometimes you say you can choose and so on, but still there are something that I wonder if it's not still programmed for me to go through what I have gone through in this lifetime. It's not 100% under my control. You know what I mean?
I'm not completely sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about family life?
Everything what we go through, family life, to get married, to have a child, to be a priestess, or be a doctor, or be a lawyer, or anything we are going through. It feels like we are programmed this time around to go through this. It's not that. Yes, of course you can choose to still to do your best, to live a clean life and so on. Yes, but there are so many things that there is not. You should do. You are programmed to do it anyway. You are programmed to go do that. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. We have an interesting comment I appreciate from Abhishek here in the chat. He's saying, this is needed for most of us, and it's hard. So we realize our condition and become humble. I think that kind of harmonizes everything, right? Like, yes, it's difficult, but we have to go through it. And in the end, we learn from it, right? We gain from it. You know, it's, yeah. I think that's a very excellent point. It's well, I like one thing one of my friends said once about organized religion. He said he calls it a necessary evil. So there's certain things like that, you know, like going through the challenges of family life. It's like people just have to, there's no other way. Even if they were told you're going to suffer like hell, like they would still have to go through that. You know, they would still choose that because they can't get away from that right now. So it's just what they have to go through. You know, can you help me, Lou? I need like a table and things. So yeah, I think that it's just one of those things, right? You have to go through it. And not that it's necessarily going to be, you know, so terrible, you know, and especially if if the family is God-centered and, you know, Krishna-centered, then everything can be harmonized. You know, that's also true. So we'll get into some hot topics here. What do you say, Ananda Krishna?
Oh, what?
We're having a discussion about family life and how difficult and painful it is, but it's also unavoidable for most people.
What do I say?
What do you say? Is a 20-year-old aspiring brahmachari?
Well, if a family is, you know, focused on the center and, you know, can serve in some small way, I think that's a beautiful family, and cultivate something like that. But if you see your chance and have nothing tying
See your
you
chance
down,
what to escape.
No. If you're not in a relationship and you're free right now, I'd say run straight as far as you can, you know, as far as your capacity. And I think you'll see the benefit of that for sure. No doubt.
Very nice. Everyone wins.
Everyone wins.
Yeah, actually, Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's standard was that at the point from which someone comes to hear, like makes contact with these teachings, they should give themselves fully. So if that means you come to Krishna consciousness with family, then you make the adjustment with your family, right? You don't give up your family. But if you come to Krishna consciousness without a family, then from that point on, you just dive into Krishna consciousness. Don't get into family after that point. You know, that was their standard. That was their, you know, what they hoped for, you know, with their followers. But of course, you know, not everyone can do that. Shama Gopal says, most, if not all of our gurus have had children and spent time as household before taking sannyas. Oh, I mean, I can appreciate that in general, but I wouldn't like to compare our gurus to us. but anyway, I think everything's pretty much been said.
Dandavas Vishaka Didi.
Dandavad. Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about that, then, you know, there are circumstances in each case. You know, Bhaktivinod Thakur already had a family. You know, he's working as a magistrate in the British government, right? And then in that position, he was doing so much work. You know, Srila Sridhar Maharaj very briefly was married because of his family obligation. So, you know, there are circumstances in each, but in general, I don't really like to compare, you know, our rules with us. And ultimately, everything is consciousness, right? Where is our consciousness within the circumstances? Okay, well, maybe we can move on. Anyone have any other comments to?
I just want to make one small, you know, like regarding this, the Shankaracharya, you know, everyone suffering in illusion as he wandered throughout India. This, you know, you were talking about it earlier. And, you know, I just want to say that, you know, for the, you know, devotees, for the great devotees, the only suffering they have is to see others suffering in forgetfulness of the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. They are, that is there's, you know, there's, and we can see the example of Advaita Acharya, right? Advaita Acharya, when he saw everybody is like engaged in, the materialistic activities, not remembering the Supreme Lord, then he was like, with loud cries, he was, praying for the Lord to descend, right, before Mahaprabhu appeared. So that is, that is really, that is their suffering, but they see others suffering in illusion. So just want to make that. Yeah.
Very nice, Didi. And what's that verse of Raghunath Das Goswami? The that para
Dukha Dukhi.
yes,
Vaishnava par Dukha Dukhi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What's the first line? I can't remember it right now, but he's expressing this sentiment, right? That my guru, his pada dukkha dukhi, this expression means their only sorrow is to see the sorrow of others, as Didi is expressing. And so he's describing how, my guru, he caused me to taste, what is it, jnana? How does that verse go? But he's saying like how my guru, like almost like he forced me, like he forced me to drink nectar. And why? Because he's so sorrowful to see how I'm living, and I'm enjoying illusion, right? I'm tasting very meager type of happiness, right? On the mundane side, right? And there are gurus, they're tasting that divine sweetness, and they can't tolerate that we're also not tasting that. We're satisfied with something so cheap and so nasty, actually. And so mercifully, they're causing us, right? They're giving us the taste. They're pushing us a little bit. You must taste this. Sure. Sometimes they're dragging us by the hair, right? It's expressed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Glorious is the master who will grab his servant by the hair and bring him back. That is real mercy. And thank you, Shamagopa. I saw your comment. Yeah, we were having a bit of there were lots of points. It was a bit of a complex context. And Radhana Rupini saying having kids and family life is overrated. And she's speaking as a wife and a mother. Please forgive me, I don't want to defend any. We appreciate your perspective.
This is to the airport.
I'm very grateful.
What's that?
I hope so. Oh, can we mute? Last one.
Yeah, I'll try.
Which airline are you going through? United?
Make me a co-host, Stevie.
Yeah, I'm just trying where to go there.
Gopal, can you mute your mic?
I don't know where do you go there? Oh, here. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so should we continue then?
Yeah.
Wow, Amara
This is a heavy song, isn't it? It's kind of heavy.
Song. Chintamani's coming just in time. The best song. Amara Jivan.
Do you want me to? Yeah.
Maybe I'll read this one.
Okay.
This is good for me. So this song, I mean, I just love this. I mean, even just like the beginning, Amara Jivan means my life, It sounds like a Netflix series. It's like so dramatic. Like my life. Amara Jivan. We got to do a series with that title, Amara Jivan. So this song is has been really emphasized by our gurus. Srila Saraswati Thakur said we should chant this song every day to purify ourselves. So I'm just looking at Marie's comment here. I'll have to read that properly later. So Saraswati Thakur said that we should chant this song every day, you know, to purify, to clean our mind. It's kind of like holding up a mirror, right? And again, not in a pessimistic way, but in the spirit of purification. And we have to be aware of our condition, you know, before we can become purified. So our Gurudev said, just like we will sweep our house, you know, every day in the morning, so we should clean our consciousness, you know, with these prayers. So our Gurudev also expressed a lot of appreciation for the song and emphasized it. So okay, so here we go. Amara Jivan Sada Paperata Nahi Kukunjara Lesh Korere Udvega Dia Chije Koto Dia Chijivere Klesh Nija Sukalagi Pape Nahi Dori Doya Hina Swarta Pada Pada Sukeduki Sada Mitya Bashi Pada Duka Sukakora. So I'll read this translation. First verse. My life is always engrossed in sin. There is not a trace of piety within it. I have caused others so much anxiety and trouble. And now we have in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary, Sada Paperata, always engrossed in sin, as Shankaracharya expresses in his Moha Mudgara Stotram. So that's that hammer to illusion which we were mentioning. Papo ham papa karma ham papatma papa sambhavaha. I am sinful. My actions are sinful. My soul is sinful, and my birth is sinful. Oh my goodness. And now translation to the second verse. I am never afraid to engage in sinful activities for the sake of my own happiness. I am merciless and selfish. I am distressed by the happiness of others. I am a perpetual liar, and the distress of others pleases me. You know, there's a word for that, you know, being happy by the unhappiness of others. It's a very strange human trait. It's called Schadenfreude. It's a German word. There's a word for that. Now the third verse. Ashesha kamana vidima jemona krodi damba parayan madamata sada vishoye mohita himsa garva vibhashan. There are unlimited sinful desires within the core of my heart. I am angry and arrogant, always maddened with vanity, infatuated with mundanity, and ornamented with malice and pride. And now we have in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary, Damba Parayan, arrogant. This refers to a Dharma Dwaji, a hypocrite who makes a show of being religious for mundane purposes. Literally, one who waves the flag of Dharma but does not practice it. You know, I also think when I read this song, I also think of Shuddha Shava Prabhu. He was one of our very dear senior devotees, but he really emphasized this song, and he liked to sing it. And in one edition of the Kirtan Guide, because it wasn't included in earlier editions of our Kirtan Guide, and he had it stuck on it in one of our editions. Just before it's being published, he told them, you have to include the song. So it got stuck in like right at the end of the songbook. And but he, you know, one thing he would say, you know, for a long time he wouldn't allow us to record his classes. He'd give amazing classes, and he would spend like pretty much 6 months out of the year, if not more, with our Gurudev. And but he'd go through periods when he wouldn't allow us to record him, and he just wouldn't, and he wouldn't explain why. And one time I was pushing him a little, and I'm like, why won't you let us record? And then he said, no evidence of hypocrisy. That I don't want there to be any evidence of hypocrisy, because I'm going to say one thing, on the Vyasa-san, giving instruction, but when I go home, I'm not going to practice that. And I appreciated that very much. And he also, another thing which he used to emphasize, which I really appreciated, he used to say, we should not pollute the ideal, right? Like, we may not be able to follow the ideal, but we don't want to change the ideal, right? We don't want to change the ideal to suit us and suit our lower purpose. We'll maintain the purity, the sanctity of the ideal of our gurus, and we'll recognize, I'm here, the ideal's up here, and I'm here. But we have that type of clarity and integrity, right? That was something else I appreciated very much. Actually, our gurus, they appreciate more the purity of our aspiration, not necessarily the purity of our conduct, but what is the aspiration that we're holding in our heart. That's what they're looking for, not how perfect we are in our movement and our practices and our manner and our speech. They're not looking at that, but what is the aspiration within our heart that's really pulling us from within? What is it that we're worshiping on the throne of our heart? Right? What is the ideal that we're holding within, that we're aspiring for? Maybe we're in the gutter, but we're looking at the stars, right? We don't want to drag the stars down to our gutter, right? Because that's what many people do, right? It's a type of egoism, right? I can't follow it, so I'm going to change it. So that's not what it is, right? That's a type of arrogance. And it takes some humility to say, well, this is what it is, and I can't follow it, but that's okay. And I know where I am, and I know what I am. And I'm worshiping that high thing that I can't follow right now, but I'm worshiping it. That's what our gurus are looking for. That's what's appreciated. Right? Being able to remove our ego from the equation and just appreciate Krishna consciousness for what it actually is. That is like, you're almost there if you can do that. We can remove ourselves from the picture. It's no longer an I-centered religious practice, but we're actually approaching and recognizing divinity, the nature of divinity as it is, right? That is huge. That's huge, man. That's huge. And we saw, with our Gurudev, he appreciated those types of practitioners so much, and he, like persons who may not be following perfectly, but we're approaching with this kind of naked mood, right? This is who I am, and this is what I am, but as I am, right? Such as I am, right? Na dharma nishtosmi, na chatma bedi, na bhakti mam strak sharanadavinde, akinchano nanya gati shananya, chatpadamulam sharanam prapadye. Right? I don't know anything. I don't know anything about religion. I don't know nothing about religion, don't know nothing about the scripture, don't know anything about devotion. But such as I am, my Lord, I am approaching you. In this raw, naked, sorry state, I'm approaching you. Please give me your shelter. This is the type of mood that our gurus appreciate. This is the mood which will take us far in Krishna consciousness. Not waiting for tomorrow, not waiting till we're perfect, or not changing the conception so that it's okay that I don't know and I'm going to turn it into something else to make myself look better, right? But having the clarity of what it is and where we are, humbly accepting that and humbly embracing shelter. That that puts us in quite a powerful position, actually. That is what will move the Lord, the Vaishnavas. That is what will move them, to descend, to give their grace to us. That is what will attract mercy. That is what we're trying to do. We're like in a proactive way, systematic way, trying to figure out, how can I attract the mercy of the Lord? That's our day-by-day sadhana, actually. How can I attract the mercy of the Lord? How can I prove to the Lord that I'm the most needy? How can I prove to the Lord that I'm the most in want? That's our business. That's our concern. And so, these songs, they can be a little heavy, especially for someone who's approaching this culture for the first time, but they're helping us, just bring us to a state of awareness. Well, what is our actual condition? What is the nature of this mundane environment? And that will move us to take shelter. Having this humility, this clarity, will make us realize our neediness, right? And that will attract the highest degree of grace towards us. So here, this fourth verse now. Nidra lasya hata sukarje virata arkarje udyogi ami pratishta lagya satya chara lobahata sadakami. I am subdued by laziness and sleep, averse to performing good deeds, and eager to perform sinful deeds. I engage in deceitful behavior in pursuit of prestige. I am ruined by greed and constantly covetous. Yeah, you can stop there. And verse 5. Eheno durjana sajana varji ta aparadi nirantar shubha karjashin saranartama nana duke jarajara. Such a sinner as I is shunned by devotees and is a constant offender. I am devoid of virtuous motives, always intent upon evil and racked by various miseries. Vardakya ekana upaya vihina tatadina kinchan. Bhaktivinod prabhuracharani kode dukani vedan. Such a sinner as I is shunned by devotees and is a constant offender. I am devoid of virtuous motives, always intent upon evil and racked by various miseries. Vardakya. I think I read. Did I read 6 already? Maybe I did. Now aged, I am devoid of any means of deliverance and thus destitute and distressed. Bhaktivinod submits this remorseful confession at the feet of the Lord. It's a heavy song, and what's interesting about it is it kind of like, like there are tendencies within ourselves that we may be ashamed, like, to acknowledge, and this song is just like very raw, like like holding up the mirror, like there are things in us we don't even want to look at them or talk about them. We're like, oh God, is that in me? But this song, it's almost like making it okay. Like, it's okay. There are others like you too. This is just our human condition, and that's okay. So what do? We approach the Lord. We ask for his shelter. Bas. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay, well, we've kind of just come to the end of our time. Does anyone want to share any comments before we close for today? And welcome those who, we had a few join in the end there. Chintamani joined. I saw Murari joined. And there were perhaps 1 or 2 others also joined. Suvasini, any final words?
No, Didi, what you said is good, actually. What, to have this, these songs, see, you're able to see what things are there, in you, right? Bring out and to be aware and also to approach the Lord for help, to shelter, because we're on our own. We don't have the strength to overcome all our weakness and the all the whatever undesirable things there. But to approach the Lord for help and shelter, approach the Vaishnavas for the shelter. So that is.
Right.
I think Ramananda wants to say something, had a hand.
Okay. And maybe next week we can listen to these songs. If I remember, we can I can set up the sound here and we can listen. I think we've been through 3 songs today, so we can go through these next week. Yes, Ramananda Prabhu, please.
Dandos Vishakadi, yeah. It reminds me, Gurudev used to say, my religion is find fault with me, because I see a lot of quarrels with devotees, different arguments. Then finally Gurudev said, my religion is find fault with me. Yeah. Could you explain a little bit on that? I don't know. I also get confused. I hear from senior devotees different things because I didn't study so much scripture, but I have practical experience. I was lucky to serve Gurudev, many other Vaishnavas, but to just, I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah, it works. Wait and see. I try to follow that. Gurudev said, wait and see. Gurumai, I know they are watching, so I try to kind of not overreact, try to control myself and just, I don't know, try to go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is the advice given to us, right? That we will try to correct ourselves, right? I mean, first of all, Saraswati Thakur says one place, like, I'm so busy trying to correct my own faults, I don't have any time. There's no time left over. Go to look at other people's faults. And he says, I'm so honeycombed. He says it like that. I'm so honeycombed with faults. I don't have any time, And he also Saraswati Thakur also makes this interesting comment how fault finding, it comes from a spirit of empiricism, right? Like just focused on what we perceive with our senses. We're not seeing what's going on in the inner heart, the inner consciousness. What is the overall trajectory of that practitioner? What's their stage of evolution, right? We're just stuck on what we perceive with our empiric senses. So that's a very limited way to view the environment. Very, very limited, very narrow vision. Right? And then lastly, I can say it is progressive to just correct ourselves, for ourselves and for others, because the more that we become pure, the more that we become more elevated in our consciousness, the more we will raise the vibration of our environment, and the more we will naturally inspire others to become better, right? Rather than going and pointing out someone's faults, why don't we become a better example ourselves and inspire them naturally from their heart to become better practitioners, right? Isn't that more progressive? Also, this fault finding thing, it often comes from a place of envy. Actually, that's often the root of it. It's like, why don't you just let people be? But why do we need them to be perfect? Is it like we want to show that we are better than them? Is that where this is? Sometimes it's coming from that place. So and so does this, I don't. It's like we're like, we've got an inferiority complex, and we can make ourselves feel better by pointing out faults that others have that we don't, right? Often it comes from that place. That who's that helpful for? We're just chewing on poison ourselves, and we're gonna depress everyone, upset everyone else, right? So what's more progressive is, let's correct our own self. Let's raise the vibration. Jivana Didi, she shared this nice, I think it's John F. Kennedy who might have said it. And her husband, Udamanyu Prabhu, he used to quote it, high waters raise all ships. Such a beautiful quote. High waters raise all ships. So it's like if one person is raising their vibration, everyone else is also raised by that. Even if they're not coming in direct contact with them, but the whole vibration of the environment, of the planet, will be uplifted by that, right? So, let others go on with their fault. We don't need to be envious. That's okay. Let me focus on my own correction, and maybe I can inspire them. So, and sometimes it may be our duty to correct others, but it should come from a spirit of duty and affection, not because we want to be superior to them, not because we want to control things, but because it's genuinely our duty to do so. We have affection for them. When the Vaishnavas correct people, it's coming from a place of love, because they genuinely want them to be their best selves. So is our fault finding coming from that place? We can ask ourselves that. Or are we just chewing on poison? So those are my thoughts on that. It's an important discussion. It's actually very fundamental to our own progress. Cultivating a spirit of appreciation is very fundamental. Appreciating other Vaishnavas raises us up. And depreciating, lack of appreciation for Vaishnavas, that takes us down. So it's actually something quite crucial. And we're fortunate if we have the association of Vaishnavas. We're fortunate Vaishnavas give us opportunities to tolerate. It's actually, like, literally, it is an opportunity. Literally. It's not just a soundbite. You're actually gaining. If you have an opportunity to serve a Vaishnava or tolerate a Vaishnava, that is your opportunity. You're going to gain from that. There was one disciple of Saraswati Thakur who wrote to him once complaining about some situation in the temple. And Saraswati Thakur wrote back, if Krishna has given you the opportunity to tolerate, you should take that opportunity. Right? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, one Gurudev said, Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to say that if we see a fault in another Vaishnava, that is a test from Krishna for us. Krishna is showing that to us for our correction. It's an examination for us. How are we going to perceive this? How are we going to deal with this? It's our examination. It's not actually about them, but it's about our own correction. So we want to, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says in one place, we want to be economical with our time. We don't have so much time. So let's use our time in our own correction. And we want to nourish and support others from a place of love. Correct ourselves and take good from the environment. We only want to collect goodness. Paramahamsa Dharma. Stapila, Shama Dharma. Stapila, what is it? Stapila, Ashrama Bahu, Jagatam Ashhari, Paramahamsa Dharma Gyan, Shikshara Prachara. This is our Guru's Arti song. You've established temples all over the world in order to spread this Paramahamsa Dharma. What is Paramahamsa Dharma? We are extracting the good, leaving aside the bad. What goodness can I collect from this devotee? How can I engage that in the service of Krishna? How can I connect that with the service of Krishna? How can I be inspired by that? We can collect something good from everyone. So we're trying to, and then we are correcting ourselves. So this is our life of practice. Thank you all for your association.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank
you for your association.
Chintamani has her hand raised.
Just real quick, Didi, when you laugh, it's like the best thing ever. No matter what kind of crappy mood I might be in, like you laugh, my whole heart lights up. And I just want to pick your brain about, like, what are you envisioning for the Amar Jivan, My Life series? What are you thinking? What is your thought bubble?
Let's talk about it. Maybe we'll do some when we're in India, we'll go to like the slums of Calcutta or something, do some filming or something. I don't know. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about it. My life. My life. Jai,
Thank you for the class.
Oh, thank you for coming, Chintamani. And thank you for bringing all your friends. Jai,
thank you so much, Vishaka Didi. Thank you so much, everyone. Nice.
Thank you. Have an wonderful day.
Thank you.
You all. Jai Guru Dev. See you all next time.
Jai.
Haribol.
Haribol. Shaka Didi ki jai.
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 Rasa Didi ki jai.
Jai.